Rosann, we've known each other for 3 decades.
Yes, a long time.
And you have been a professional counselor.
As you have been a professional counselor, how many people have we known in Hong Kong?
Yes, quite a lot.
So many different people.
And so many changes.
And that's why we want to think about women now and women then, and how women have changed over these years.
That must be very interesting.
Yes.
And it covered different generations.
Always.
Well, if they're interested in what we are talking about, how are they going to find us?
They're going to find us Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, PsychoAlchemy. We are Women Now and Then.
See you there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Now and Then. I'm Rosann, and this is Dorothy.
Hi, everybody.
One of the first things you might notice is the difference in our ages.
Not that much of a difference.
And that's a good way to start. We're each mature women, and we're both very experienced counselors. I want to introduce Dorothy Wong.
Well, actually, when she said there's an age difference, I don't see that much a difference. Well, one thing very interesting about both of us, we know each other for 30 years. And as I was preparing this show, I was recalling a lot of our meetings. And when I met Rosann 3 decades ago,
3 decades.
yeah,
yes.
I just came back from the States. And
Yes.
I have such big hope about doing counseling in Hong Kong.
Oh, she did. It was a class at Hong Kong University, and we were doing something about women's development.
Yes.
Because we're always doing something about women's development.
Yeah.
And at the end of class, Dorothy said, "Oh, we can talk about this, or do you have a question about that?" So we rode down the elevator, or the lift, as you prefer, together, and she said, "How about my car?" And I looked around, and all I saw were taxis. And Dorothy said, "We could take any taxi. Where would you like to go?" And that began the friendship of exploring. There's a generation or so between us of years. And there's also, the fact is, Dorothy is Chinese.
And you are American.
Italian American. And you just wonder, how could these people end up in Hong Kong, become friends, and be useful to our families?
Yes.
Be true to ourselves
Yeah,
for the
definitely.
most part. And maybe do a little bit to make the world a better place.
Yes.
I think so. Counseling is such an interesting profession. You may wonder why we're here. Okay? We're going to do a season, set of programs, maybe a dozen or so, about women now and then. And you can interpret now, and you can also interpret then. We'll flip back and forth over the time periods, because we're mostly interested in you, the individual viewer. How do you see yourself? What is your now? What is your then? When we think about ourselves, we think about our own identity.
Yes.
And true enough, identity is our first topic for this season. So we're going to begin with identity. And just to let you know generally where we're going, we go from identity to health, which brings us to looking at our marvelous female bodies. Oh, female bodies are so complex.
I totally agree.
And
Marvelous body.
Marvelous body. So we're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about bodies, how we feel about health, how we feel about bodies. And there's so many parts to the health of women's bodies. Well, now that's going to be a whole section by itself. But after identity and health, then we move on to finances.
Yes. Well, money makes the world turn around.
Well, and you can't do much on this planet without some money. No matter whether you're 20 or 40 or 60 or 80, women still need more money than they have. And that's one of the things we're going to be debating when we talk about women and money. So it's identity, health in your bodies, money, and the last topic is
Relationships.
Yes. Relationships are woven through our lives. Who you are, Maybe it depends on your friends. Oh no, said someone, it depends on your family. You can't change who you are because so you see how relationships runs through. Where do you get your money from? How do you account for your health? What did you inherit? We're going to use relationships to pull things together, but we're starting with identity. Now, Dorothy, if someone asks you who you are, what would you say?
Well, that's a good question. I think I have been asking this same question over and over again ever since I was maybe 8 or 9. You know, well, because when I was young, it's sort of hard to get along with a lot of my classmates. I always think that I'm a little bit odd. So when you talk about my identity, I would say, well, I am my parents' daughter, my brother's sister. I am one of the Mary Norders as a schoolmate, but somehow I really think I don't know who I am, because a lot of time I'm just playing a role, right? But then, you know, this adolescent, all these teenagers, rebellious years, so a lot of identity crisis.
Yeah.
And I think I'm lucky because my family decided to send me overseas.
Your
right?
family decided. Oh,
definitely.
my goodness. Okay.
Oh, actually, maybe it's my examination results at that time decide my destiny, because at that time in Hong Kong there are only maybe 2 universities then.
That's right.
Right, Chinese
That's right.
University and Hong Kong universities, and my grades were so bad there's no way I can get into either one. So my parents said, you know, why don't you consider going overseas? And at that time, my brother was over at New York, so I went to the States. So when you talk about identity, at that time I was thinking, well, maybe when I go to the States, I can find my identity. Such a big joke, right?
No,
But
it's
you can imagine at that time, Hong Kong, we already have a lot of exposure about American culture. Obviously, when I told people then that I'm going to New York for my further study, they all said, "Oh, make sure when you see the Statue of Liberty, you have to get off the plane." You know, I mean,
Okay.
that's the
That was
idea,
good.
right?
That was
If you
good.
know, you will be sure you are in the States if you see the Statue of Liberty. And so at that time, I think I had a lot of expectation. If I go to college, university, then somehow I will find myself. And if I cannot find myself because I have decided some degree, area that I need to put my 4 years of time. So somehow that will decide on my identity. But obviously, all this searching around didn't work out. I don't know about you, but I think I'm one of those considered lost child. You know, all my university time, I have no idea what I really like. I think is still searching, and
Fortunately,
still
searching.
still searching. And luckily, my father was very generous. Even though I failed to find my identity in 4 years' time, he gave me another 2 years, so I had my master degree. Thinking by getting a master degree, I would know what I want, who I really am.
Dorothy,
Right.
that is so fascinating. So, in about 25 years, 2.5 decades, other people were forming who you would become, and sometimes we don't recognize that. Now, you went quite willingly to the USA. My case is a little bit different. I always knew I was going to be a teacher. I was just bossy enough or organized enough or with people enough. You know, the Girl Scout patrol leader eventually became a teacher.
No, you are a helper in your blood. You're a giver in it.
So I went through secondary school and into university, and it was teacher education. I was going to do that, and then straight on to graduate school with a lot of good luck with scholarships. But I was a decade older than you when my chance came to come to Hong Kong.
Oh.
So there I was. I had been working for 7 years. I'd been teaching at New York University. And there came a chance to come to Hong Kong. It was supposed to be for 6 weeks.
What happened? You lost your passport?
6 weeks, and my mother cried. I was going to the end of the earth. You know, it just looked like opposite on the globe. New York, Hong Kong was a faraway place. And I said, I'll be back in 6 weeks. Well, it's been 40-some years.
Oh, my goodness.
So Hong Kong was enchanting for me.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. But you are from New Jersey?
I'm from New Jersey.
You're from
yes.
New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey. I'm still a Jersey girl. I mean, usually I'm organized and logical. But if you touch my children, that Jersey girl comes through. What some people call the mother bear syndrome. You know? So we must talk about all parts of identity.
Yes.
But that's interesting how you got to the States when you had some guidance from your folks. I came to Hong Kong quite willingly when I was around 30 years old.
I see. But you know, I suddenly realized maybe that's the major difference between East and West.
Yes.
At my time, definitely. I think even though I'm from American secondary school, the Maryknoll is a very American system, but still, as a Chinese daughter, we have a tendency to just not obeying our parents, but somehow we respect our parents' suggestions. So somehow it's like, I'm not saying they decide on our destiny, but we always respect what our parents suggest to us. But I can imagine by the time you are 20, not just because you are born to be a teacher, you are more independent. Whereas I would see it as a Chinese girl, a Chinese daughter, we tend to be more obedient. It's pretty hard for us to say, oh, I want to quit school, I want to go somewhere, try something out. So we usually, after high school, secondary school in Hong Kong, if we can afford to go to university, we usually follow our parents' instructions, at least for the first degree. Meaning the whole college, university time, we will still act accordingly. Whereas when I went to United States, in my case it's New York, I met my roommates, I met a lot of American. Actually, a lot of them were already very independent when they were like 14, 15 years old, right? Actually, their family background might be pretty good, but they can still go to deliver pizza, newspaper, or whatever. They make their own living. So when they go to college, then they're already very independent. They know what they want. Whereas, you know, I just walk around, have no idea what I want. And the good thing about American system, for the first 2 years, you can still look around, right? You don't need to commit yourself to any majors until your junior year, right? But to a lot of American I met then, they seem to more, how do I say, more determined, or maybe have had a better idea what they want. And so I don't know, is it, well,
remember,
cultural
your
difference?
identity is you, your family, but also the time, the setting. Now, what you say, I'm sure, is absolutely true for you in your case. What about now, then and now? When students from Hong Kong go off to the United States, Australia, UK, Hong Kong students travel. Do you think the same is true? Are they deciding, or their parents? What do you think's going on now with girls who are about 20 years old?
Oh, okay, good question. Well, since we've been doing counseling for all these years, and I do a lot of career counseling too, and every year I really meet up with a lot of young people deciding whether they want to stay in Hong Kong, go to different parts of the world. Now it's not just US, Australia, UK, right? People go to, you can not even imagine,
Italy.
Everywhere.
Students studying in Italy or Hungary.
Right. But the thing is, so I don't know, I don't want to stereotype. Maybe Hong Kong becomes more affluent. People have more money these days.
That's true.
So a lot of people now have the opportunity to go overseas. So it's not just the slightly well off or the middle upper class people. A lot of people can afford to go. And the thing is, I see this common scenario. a lot of young kids have no idea where they are going. They went to a certain place because there are some country have their school exhibition or university show somewhere in a convention center, and they went to those show, and then there's like different booths, and they just walk in, show their result, and then the professional will suggest which place they will go.
Oh.
And I still don't think they really know what they want, and somehow they are still confused which country to go, what subject they want to study. And some of them have some idea, but actually they don't really know exactly what's going on. In the recent year, you are talking about now,
Yeah,
right?
now. What's now?
The good news is I'm hearing more and more younger people look into psychology.
Oh,
Yes.
encouraging.
Very encouraging. I'm curious. I usually ask them, why psychology? And I don't know whether it's a good news or bad news, because a lot of them telling me so many things happening at home, at school,
Yeah.
and sometimes they just wondering, what's going on. They really want to find out. And a lot of them, maybe because of the different movies or TV shows, talk about all this different psychological problem.
Right.
Yeah, and,
right.
and they are so curious.
Isn't that interesting?
I was surprised in the last 5 years. I would say more young people are looking into psychology, and a lot of them have a fancy, because of the CSI syndrome.
Oh, yes.
A lot of them are
Yes.
really into criminology.
Actually, yeah. Yes.
And
yes.
I said, are you sure? And, oh, yeah, I'm really into it. I'm very curious in finding out all those psychopaths. Why are they doing
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Too much,
Yeah.
maybe movie or
Isn't
soap
that
opera in
something?
mind.
Isn't that something? Well, let me take this with a little bit of contrast. Your deal, if we're talking mostly about when you were about 20 and who you see now. Okay, I want to switch to when I was about 30, I just came here. Now, one of the groups of people or individuals I see, but there are many of them, women who are about 30 who've had what is a pretty much Western education. They're from the States, Canada, Australia. Okay, a typical case. Rosann, I don't know why I'm really here. So I say to the young woman, okay, well, tell me what's going on in your life. Well, that's just it. I have this career. I'm making my own money. I'm so glad I'm here in Hong Kong. I did this and this and this, and I'm going, and, well, I want to tell you, for the past 3 years, I've been living with this guy. He's just been offered a job in KL or Bangkok or Sydney, somewhere far away from here. I go, and? She said, well, he didn't really ask me, do I want to go with him? He hasn't talked at all about marriage. So what's a girl like me supposed to do when I'll be 30 this summer? I thought girls were supposed to get married and have children. And I have a career. I can make my own money. I know that. But what happened to the whole idea of getting married before you were 30? Now it's making money before you're 30. So I said, yes. And she said, well, do you know about this whole question of eggs ripening and women getting pregnant? I said, yeah. She said, well, from your understanding, when is the best time to have a baby? And I, just about where you are now, but another 5 years would be okay. But shouldn't I be married? Now, Dorothy, isn't that a challenging question? Is her identity, she's 30,
Yes.
is her identity around her career? Is her identity around, well, this guy, I've been living with him. Do I love him enough to marry him? Should I marry him?
Yep, yep.
Have you had any of the cases of this 20 to 30 career and love. How does it work?
Well,
What confuses women?
Oh, definitely it's a very difficult choice.
Very
Yeah,
complicated.
especially if you finish college, university when you are 21, 22. And at my time, have a first degree is good enough. But now you can see people might need more than one degree, right?
Yes.
You need a master degree then. So by the time you graduate, it's already 23.
Yeah.
So you go to find your a good career, then you start a career. By the time you are 30, 28, 29, 30, you should reach a middle management role or maybe
See, you have a
supervisor, right?
prescription, yes.
Right. So you can see if you reach that age, and then you come into a split. You have to decide whether you want to sacrifice your development or in career, or you want to sacrifice your relationship with this man. That is indeed a dilemma. And I think my time is quite obvious. A lot of my girlfriends will go for the relationship because to us, a lot of them, wow, 30 is too old at my age. But now a lot of women will say, well, I'll wait. I still can have a baby when I'm 35. I might not be willing to sacrifice my career.
You see why we chose identity as the first topic. It intertwines with, shall you have a career? Do you make your own money? What do your parents want you to do? What do you want to do? And we've just gotten to about age 30.
Yes.
Very complicated time for women.
Dorothy 啊，啲人咧成日話我哋9型人格嘅4號仔咧，就硬係咧好多愁善咁，又分外多情嘅喎。你點睇呢一樣嘢？
咁就見仁見智嘅。不過比起其餘嗰8個 number 咧，我哋又真係好似好多時都被情所困咁樣，真係會令人會覺得我哋好多情嘅。
咁但係情又係乜嘢嘅一回事咧？
咁其實情好闊㗎，有對父母嘅情啦，對兄弟姊妹嘅情啦，友情啦咁。不過我諗最困擾我哋嘅就係啲痴情咯。同埋因為情而帶嚟嘅好多嘅傷痛。
咁啊，如果大家咧想知道我哋有幾咁多情咧，就留意我哋個節目啦。逢星期4晚夜晚10點正，練心堂濃滿多情。
Gee, Dorothy, you raised so many questions.
Yeah, problem kid.
Problem kid, around age 30. Then and now. Then there was a clearer profile. Women should be doing this.
Yes.
Now, oh my goodness, identity. What should a woman be doing when she's 30?
Yes.
Complicated, isn't
Oh,
it?
definitely. Yeah, especially at my time, then,
Yes.
Actually, if you are not married by 30, something is wrong.
You
right?
think, yeah.
Either you are too picky, or maybe there's definitely something wrong with you. And as you can see, Chinese New Year just passed 2 weeks ago, right? And if you're not married by late 20s, all your relatives will come and ask you, hey, better hurry up. Next year, don't get red pockets from me. You are not young anymore. All this pressure and tension.
Yes. Oh, that's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure.
Right.
It lets people know you're single. You are not married right now.
Something wrong with you.
Something wrong.
Yeah,
something
but I
wrong.
don't think now is easier. Because now if you work so hard, you decided to get married later, or you don't have a boyfriend, you don't have a relationship, and they will say, don't work so hard lah.
Yes, yes. I think what's also happening now,
Yes,
along with that,
yes.
with girls who read magazines, newspapers, learn some science over the electronic screen, they question, well, do they really want to be mothers? So it's being married is one question. Do you want to produce a child is another.
Yes.
Now, separating that is not easy for all women because some women see marriage and motherhood together. But increasing numbers of women now, there were a few then, now are saying, well, I can be a mother,
Mm.
but I don't want to have that permanent relationship with a man.
Mhm.
Now, have you come across of that
Oh,
in any of your counseling cases? I'm willing to be a mother, but I don't want the marriage.
Well, we said we just want the baby, not the husband.
Yes.
Well, it's there are so many different uh, combination. A lot of people I just want relationship. I just want romance. I don't want commitment, so no marriage. Some people will say, okay, I don't mind having a husband, have someone more like a soulmate, spend the rest of my life with. So they have a husband, have a spouse. They don't want children. And then there's a whole group, they just want the children, but not the father. So it's so complicated. Sometimes I just wonder, women now, when they have so many options, is it
Yes.
easier for them or is harder for them? And once you decide on something, actually, we all know women had a biological clock, and maybe suddenly when you are 45, you decided, oh, actually, I do want to have a child. You don't have it then. And maybe even worse, when you are 45, 50, maybe I do want a soulmate, someone to spend the rest of my life with, and you don't have a partner. So it's women today, I would say, is more, I don't know, are they lucky when they have so much choice? They can decide on any kind of life they want to live. Do they regret? And yeah.
I've lived long enough so people tell me what they regret.
Mm.
Okay, in my now and then, when I was in my 20s, one of the phrases that I heard relatively well-educated women saying is, a job or career,
Mm-hmm.
a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
a guy,
Mm-hmm.
or a baby.
Mm.
You can have any two of the three.
Oh.
But women cannot easily manage and give full attention to their career, their marriage, and a child or two.
Mm.
So we were telling women, make up your mind where the emphasis in your life will be.
Mm-hmm.
Now I see, and I bet you see in your counseling service also, women who are happy in their jobs, have a relationship not the same as early relationships 20 years ago,
True.
and a child. Now, to do this, many of these women, and this is a special stream of women, have enough money to be able to have some household help.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
And Hong Kong is full of families where the woman is working, the
Yes.
man is working, and there's a full-time helper
Yes,
in the home.
yes,
Somebody's got to raise a young
definitely.
child.
I think that makes such a big difference.
Another, big difference.
Compared to the rest of the other women in the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the convenience of having a domestic helper, I will say, is a blessing, but also can be a curse in a way.
Oh, yes.
Because if you put so much responsibility of motherhood to the hands of your Filipino maid, your Thai or Indonesian maid, actually, I don't know. I have so many cases. Those women, those Korean women, are very, very competent in their work, professionals. And when their children grew up, and they actually feel the distance between themselves and their children. Mainly because, as you said, three things, you can only choose 2 out of 3. Even though now you have a maid helping you, there's no way you can replace motherhood. Somehow, a lot of women, when I do counseling with them, they sort of, I'm not saying they regret, but they can see there's a difference when they compare themselves with their classmates. Some of them decided to stay home, take care of the children. Maybe for the first 10 years, those stay-home mom actually had a pretty tough life. They'd have to give up a lot of their own career development, but they have a close relationship with their children. But then for those women who decided to develop their career or their profession, somehow when their kids reach teenagers, they realize their distance with their children. The gap actually pretty big. And I don't know, in some of my cases, some of them will say, did I make a wrong choice? Maybe I should sacrifice a little bit more for my child, for my children. And I don't know. I if you ask me, do I see win-win-win situation?
Yes.
Like career, husband, and children? Not too many.
Not too many.
Not
I
too
agree
many.
on that.
Not
I
too
agree.
many.
And it doesn't mean they're big problems, but there is general tension. Because we have very few role models of how a woman can establish herself in a career
Yes.
and be a good mom and maintain a relationship with the guy who married her when she had the career, but when she didn't have the child. So it's so many complex problems for working couples where two earners and let's face it, Dorothy, in this world today, a lot of middle-class families need two earners.
Definitely.
Two earners.
2.5.
2.5. And someone to take care of the child or children.
Yeah.
And then a changing set of ideas. It's not just one idea. Changing set of ideas on, well, what's my relationship with this man? Is he my best friend? Is he my lover? Do I discuss childcare problems with him, or am I supposed to be taking care of all of the child care? I don't know if our guys have grown up. You think of the guys who've grown up in the past 30 years. How did they learn to deal with women who seem so sure of themselves at getting a job? All of us, my generation and yours, we have helped women to get jobs. We know that women have a right to earn money, that women have the right to spend the money however they want. Is it her money or household money? How do those questions get resolved? Oh, so many women say, my money goes for child care, and my money goes for the things I want to do as a family, like holidays with the kids.
And also pay for the extra Filipino maid.
The extra adult in the house. So here's a couple who love each other. Romance is wonderful. And within a few years, there's 4 people or 5 people in the house. Not him and her, but him and her and a baby and a helper and maybe another baby. So where does the woman and where does the man learn to operate in a subset of 5 rather than a subset of 2?
Actually, when you just said we don't have any role model.
Yes.
How to be a woman that can have our career, a wife, and a mother. It resonates to me immediately. I honestly cannot figure out in my parents' category.
Yes.
Like role model. Is there any auntie?
Yes.
That can do all 3 successfully? I honestly cannot think of. My mother's age, they graduate from high school, secondary school. Some of them can go to big corporation and be a good secretary at that time, right? And some went to work for the government, and they actually had a pretty good career. But then when I recall these aunties, actually they had a pretty tough time with their husband.
Yes.
Right. And then they take pretty good care of the household. The children are okay. That like we are the children, right? So we are okay. But I will see the marriage suffer a little bit. I see more argument at home. So, but I can understand because these people are, if they still survive, they are in the 80s, in the 90s, right? So I'm thinking about women, not too many role model. That's the first thing. And then for younger generation, not really that young, my age, right, 50, 60s years old, we have career, we have husbands, we have children. But then at that time, I think we were a little bit lucky. That's the beginning of the domestic helper.
Yes.
The good thing about us having domestic helper is because we are quite, how do I say, we really appreciate that. Because to us, it's like, oh my God, there's a fairy godmother come to my house and help me with the cleaning and take care of my children. And we really appreciate that effort. But then now the situation is a little bit weird. I can see the younger mother, they really love to develop their career. And the business world really give them a lot of opportunities to advance.
That's true. That's changed a lot.
Right? A lot of opportunity. But then the problem is maybe the husband, the man's career might not be as successful as the woman. It's kind of weird because in the past, man's career is always the number one, and then the woman just take a secondary role. Somehow they make some money, a secondary role. But now it's so different. I can see today's a lot of women career advancement is really good. Whereas the men career is maybe like this. Sometimes they don't even get a job in Hong Kong. They have to go to China, or they have to go to, we call the Pacific Rim. So it's like that's a lot of power struggle. And then now they have children. The women, because they make so much money, they really know what they want. They are quite demanding on their children's performance.
That's true.
At the same time,
That's true.
they are very demanding on their helpers' performance.
Also very true.
Right?
Also
so
very true.
now I see it's so interesting. I have so many couples in their 30s, maybe early 40s, like you said, both have career, pretty good
Pretty
career,
good money coming in.
pretty good money coming in. One, usually 2 children, 1 maid. A lot of problem.
5 people
But a lot of
making
problem.
demands. And grandma and grandpa. So how do you deal with all these people? It's not just the couple.
Yes.
Not just the couple. I hear Dorothy and what you say. I want to talk a little bit in favor of full-time mothering.
Okay.
Because it's still happening. We have women who,
Yeah.
I wouldn't use the term give up their careers. What they want is a chance to be the mother of their children. They want to set up making Play-Doh with the kids, the
Yes.
chocolate chip cookies,
Yes.
the play dates, the Halloween costumes.
Right.
They want that opportunity. Not all women, but women are definitely, there are some who are definitely choosing 10 to 15 to 20 years out. Now, overall, the statistics are in developed countries, when women take out 12 to 15 years, when they go back into the workforce, it takes them about 5 years to come up to the salary level they would have had they stayed in the workforce. Now, what's interesting about this is that many employers, we won't say all, but many employers are very happy to have the woman who is returning to work because she is socially more mature than her counterpart who did not have the time as a mother and the carpool and the parents association and the community organization.
Yes.
So these women who have been home-based develop great interpersonal skills. They develop
More patience.
patience with children
Yes.
and in-laws.
Yes.
And how long it takes for a 6-year-old to learn how to tie a shoe. How long it takes for kids to put their own things in a bag, to put toys away. Toddlers have to learn to put toys away. So these women come with enormous amounts of patience. And having had the joys of motherhood, which is sometimes so frustrating, they are delighted to be out of the home for a good part of the day. Now, let me not make this a beautiful picture all the way, because the general research statistics also show that when a woman's been home for a significant period of time, let's say 10 to 12 years, her first job is usually one that's close to home. It might not be the best job. It might not pay her a lot of money. She might not get a lot of emotional fulfillment from it, but it's close to home and she's making some money. After a year or two, this is why it takes 5 years, after a year or two, she can then get a job which she enjoys more or pays more money. So it's close to home and it's either emotionally, intellectually fulfilling, or the money's much better.
Okay.
It's the third job after 5 or 6 years that she finally gets to a point where she can say, I deserve this amount of money. I want to work at this place. it's an interesting job for me. But it's 5 years of growth on her part. It's also 5 years of growth on the part of the children, because she might have started back
True.
when a child was 10 or 12, and therefore she's ready for more, and the child's willing to let mom go. So we have a very complicated history.
Yes, yes.
Women and work and identity and husbands and kids.
Yeah.
It's very complicated.
Well, actually, what you said just now is like, woman all the time. As a woman mature, she has different roles she has to play.
Yes.
And as you just said, she has spent 10 to 12 years with her children. She was a full-time mom, and then maybe when the kids reach high school, she decided to go back to the workplace. And I think at that time, why is 5 years? She sort of like to rebuild her self identity. You know,
Yes.
I am not just a mother. Actually, I'm ready to go back to the work. So I would say this is the time she's reconstructing her identity. And by doing that, she is gradually moving away from her family, which has been quite a comfort zone or convenience zone for her, and gradually move out to the career business world in order to have her new identity. So I would say that is quite a how would say, not a transformation, but more like a development.
Yes.
Development.
Yes.
And I think we have reached, maybe at that time, if you stay at home by 10 years, you should be around 40 something. And maybe that would be a good time for us to just rest a little while. And when we come back again, we're going to move on. So we are in our 40 something. So once we reach that, we are hitting the big 5. We call it the midlife, right?
Midlife.
Now it's not midlife. We should live till 120, so it's
Yes.
not yet there,
Not
right?
yet.
Yeah.
Not
So
yet.
when we come back, we are going to talk about what's going to happen to our identity when we reach the 50.
Dorothy 啊，啲人咧成日話我哋九型人格嘅4號仔咧，就硬係咧好多愁善咁，又分外多情嘅喎。你點睇呢一樣嘢？
咁就見仁見智嘅。不過比起其餘嗰8個 number 咧，我哋又真係好似好多時都被情所困咁樣，真係會令人會覺得我哋好多情嘅。
咁但係情又係乜嘢嘅一回事咧？
咁其實情好闊㗎，有對父母嘅情啦，對兄弟姊妹嘅情啦，友情啦咁。不過我諗最困擾我哋嘅就係啲痴情咯。同埋因為情而帶嚟嘅好多嘅傷痛。
咁啊，如果大家咧想知道我哋有幾咁多情咧，就留意我哋個節目啦。逢星期4晚夜晚10點正，練心堂濃本多情。
Dorothy, you left us with so many challenging questions. These women from 30 to 40 have their complications with that life stage.
Yes.
But let's look at the big 4-0 and the big 5-0 and the big 6-0. Life doesn't end when you finished having children. And you get to be 50. Now, 50 raises 40 to 50. Oh, the heart begins to pound with women.
Yeah.
50. Rosann, does that mean I'm going to go through menopause? Will I change? Okay, that's 50. And then, Rosann, I'm going to be turning 60 in 2 years. Do I have to retire? Well, sweetheart, do you have enough money to retire? Oh, the big 7-0 is coming up. The big 7-0 is coming up. I don't know how I can relate to my children. You know, my children are telling me what to do. Is that fair that children who are in their 30s should be telling their mother who's in her 70s what so, and then, oh, Rosann, I'm facing 80. 8? Oh, wow. I guess I have to stop working. I guess I have to stop. Do you stop hoping when you're 80? Oh, Rosann, I've lived through my 80s. I'm going to be 90. And then you say, we might live to 120. We all have to get used to living a longer life.
Yeah.
Yes. But we left off with the working mom
Uh-huh.
and the mom who stayed at home,
Mm.
the woman who stayed at home with her children. Now, we talked about women having regrets.
Yes.
Women having regrets. And I wondered about women having regrets because we are also taught at every age, and I think this is true, you tell me if it's true in Asian societies as well as Western societies, that women are not taught to argue. We hold in the conflict. So if you have a regret, one of the things I'm asking is, how long have you had this regret? Why do you think you're regretting it? Well, Rosann, because I never wanted to argue with George. I mean, is it right for a wife to argue with her husband? Arguments are not good for women. But if you don't argue, then will you always have regrets? Now, can you think, how do we teach women to argue but not make fun of, let's just talk about guys and gals for a minute. We're just talking. You know, if you say to a guy, you could never do that anyway. You're not good at fixing up the house. You don't ever read a newspaper. What's she asking for if she is demeaning the guy? But how do we teach them how to argue? Now you just think, how did your mother teach you, or mothers of our mothers, how did our mothers generally teach us how to disagree with a man? One of the things my mother would always say is, you catch more with sugar than you do with vinegar.
Well, actually,
Don't have the argument. Don't have it.
It's so interesting when you just said what you said just now. I was thinking, I thought as American woman you should be more outspoken, but as I hear you keep on talking, you are willing to swallow. You know, it's like not. Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but I really think when we were younger, like what we said earlier, 20s, 30s, or maybe even 40s, we really want to maintain the relationship.
Absolutely, that's
Right.
what women do.
Right. So
we care.
yeah.
We maintain relationships.
So by maintaining relationship, maybe most of the time we just want to control our temper, hold our tongue, you know, even though we really want to say something mean, you know, because of the relationship, we'll just control ourselves. But I would say maybe after 40, maybe as we are approaching 50, we'll say, you know, I have been the one that is like respecting our relationship, controlling myself. But up to this time, I really want to speak out. You know, I want to speak my thoughts. Especially like what we said before, at this time, I have enough with taking care of my family, our children, the household, arranging everything with the maid. Maybe it's time for me to go back to work. So maybe that's the time when you have your argument with your spouse, because he assumed that you will stay home and do everything, and since you have been quite competent in doing all this, why do you want to quit your housewife mother role and go to the career world? So maybe I can see at this time the argument will mainly because of the identity the woman is seeing. You know, I have been working so hard for this family. Now the children don't need me anymore. They are most of the time in secondary school. They have their peer group. I really want to go out as part-time or whatever, right? But then if the husband or the partner are not willing to offer the support or encouragement, I can see that is like the whole, how to say, it's not gap, but it's just like, how come you don't consider my needs? And if something happened, they start arguing, and it's pretty bad, because when you ask me the question, did your parents, your mom teach you how to argue? I immediately tell you, no, my mother is not a good role model in arguing. She usually say just like, 哎呀，算啦算啦, right? Just take it easy. If both of you are talking, it will end up arguing. So just keep quiet, just do whatever that's good for the family. So I can imagine if you are in your late 40s or 50s, you still have to put up with that image, that identity, as if you don't have anything to say, you just follow. I would see it's pretty sad. And for some people will regret, why am I the one that always sacrifice? Why am I the one that always have to consider other people's needs and feelings? What's in it for me? So that's my immediate response to your question and what you said just now.
Well, I'm hearing you because you had the Chinese upbringing. I had the American upbringing, which was don't argue because you're a woman and he's a man. The argument is not worth the quarrelsome time between the man and the woman. But now let's go back to my case of the 30-year-old girl, and George has been offered a job in Kuala Lumpur or Sydney, and he didn't say anything to her. They're not married. He didn't say anything to her about getting married. But she came to a counselor because she said, well, shouldn't he be asking me to marry him? Can I bring up that subject? So now this time, she doesn't necessarily have to be a Western girl. She can also be a young Chinese woman.
Yeah.
Because things are more complex these days.
Right.
It's not only a cultural line. It seems to be our time in history where girls as young as 30, and when you're in your 70s, you can call them girls happily. Young women. They're approaching age 30 and they're saying, well, shouldn't I be consulted? Is it wrong for me to want to know, well, George, are we getting married or not? So I say to her, without being angry, do you think you might ask George? She goes, oh. And I go, come on, what do you mean? You want to know, but you don't want to ask him? And she says, I don't want to start an argument. So we have a 30-year-old, fairly competent, good at her career, living with a guy, living in a town that she didn't grow up in. She didn't grow up in Hong Kong, but she's afraid to argue. So I ask women of your generation and mine, should we be teaching women how to argue? And some have said, well, Rosann, you've mentioned this before. How do we teach boys to argue? Well, you see two little 6-year-old boys fighting, and they're fighting, and somebody says, leave them alone. They have to fight. You see two little girls fighting, and they say, oh, come on, Dorothy, you don't have to do that. So we still have many, many differences in the way we raise boys and the way we raise girls. Now, you were absolutely right when you talked about the times enabling women to build careers and faster than men. Because there's a lot of Dorothys and there's a lot of Rosanns who are helping women along. A lot of us are helping younger women in their career development. But there are not so many of us helping women and providing role models for how they should relate to men generally, how they should relate, should they get married, should they be mothers? These are very complex questions, very complex. But let's talk about women who are now 40, 50. When you get to be 50, for sure, you're not going to have any more children. So relax. You don't have to worry about becoming pregnant. That's not going to happen. But the chances are you have had, I'll be very brutal, you've had sex with at least one man. That has happened. You may have even been married at least one time. You may have had a few affairs that were sexual affairs, and maybe an affair or two that was not sexual but very emotionally complicated. So our women who are at 50 are women of experience. They can listen to the 30-year-old and think, she's such a child. She wants to know whether she get married for the first time or the second time. We don't know. Marriage is a lot more fluid these days. But at 50, the big 50, you have a broader perspective. You have a broad, and not so critical of women's lifestyles. You can live alone quite happily. Well, in Hong Kong, you can live alone. I don't know that every city allows women to live alone. The New Yorker magazine often talks about it's okay for people to live alone in New York City. But I don't know if that's true in a small town. Can women live alone without people saying, oh, why is she living alone? How much are you influenced by your setting? Your setting's very important to your own self-development. It's not only your parents and your immediate peers, but the setting in which you find yourself. Who do you answer to? 50 is a very good decade.
Well, I think in Hong Kong, living alone, 50-year-old woman is quite common, so it's not a big deal. It's just we can't afford it. We don't have the money. We can move out to an apartment. If you are all alone, you can't afford the rent. So that's why some of the women that are not married in their 50s, if they move out, they will find a housemaid and in order to share the expenses. But I think women now in their 50s, if they have a career, they should be okay. I think the parents, the older generation, will give up asking when are you going to get married. They don't want to hurt you. They will stop doing that. And I would say women now, once they have the financial freedom, they actually had a lot of possibilities, meaning they can go anywhere they want. And if their health is okay, and I don't know about you, but I think I really like myself in the 50s. I have the wisdom, I have the freedom. I don't care that much about what other people think. I really know who I am. I can hang out with people older than me, and I'm quite comfortable with people younger than me. So to me, 50 is not really such a big hurdle. Health-wise is the key. Maybe 50 is not yet, maybe not menopause yet, or you still a little bit. I think the vitality part is still okay, and I, at that time you still have a lot of younger people around you.
Yes.
Yeah. And you feel you are pretty smart among them. They will come around and ask you, what's going to happen? Should I have children? I have this boyfriend issue in my workplace. My boss really like me a lot. Should I get involved in this? You feel like a very intelligent woman.
Yes.
and at that time, you still want to go out and share your wisdom. And I think 50 is something, I don't know, what about you? Do you have a good time when you're in your 50s?
I loved being 50, but I've loved every age. I have loved being who I am at each stage in my life.
Yes.
But the interesting thing about the 50s, you need to know this, folks, when there is no longer a fear of pregnancy, for all sorts of reasons, women no longer use or insist upon a physical barrier when they're having sexual intercourse with a man. So we find a rise in the increase of sexually transmitted diseases among women who are in their 50s, and essentially that means after menopause, because menopause happens at about age 50. We'll talk more about women's bodies in another program. But it's a time when we ask women, we cannot decide who you're going to have sex with or what kind of sex you're going to have, but if there is penetration by his penis into your vagina, there needs to be a physical barrier. And women have said to me, Oh, Rosann, I've never used a physical barrier. When I was married to Harry, he was my first one. We had more children, but Harry's gone. And now George is on the scene, and she's wondering, sweetheart, go buy the condoms. I've never bought condoms in my life. Welcome to being in your 50s. It's time to buy condoms. Buy 2 or 3 boxes so you have them. Takes a long time before they go out of date.
Oh, Rosann, I must say something here. Our program should change to not just woman now and then, it's woman east and west. And when you were talking about when you were in 50s, you still have to buy condom as if there are so many men waiting to have sex with you. I honestly want to tell you it's quite a different picture in the Chinese world. I
Really,
think once
Dorothy?
a woman
Really?
reach 50,
50's young, Dorothy.
well, you have been encouraging me
Yes,
for quite some time, but I think it's quite different in the Hong Kong market.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see too many Chinese men are interested at having sex with women in their 50s. I think that's something we discussed before is
Yes.
maybe Chinese men always have this taboo, really believe that they will be much younger when they have sex with younger women. Do you know? Have you heard of that?
Of course I've heard of this.
So I cannot
Such
imagine.
immature men don't know where the good stuff comes from. My, oh my. These young, bubbly 20-somethings, they have firm breasts. That's true. Oh my goodness. We need to talk more about this.
Definitely,
Dorothy.
you know.
We need to talk-
Originally, we planned to use one section to talk about different ages and identity. Obviously, up to this point, I think we need to go a little bit further, talk a little bit more, because there's so many things. It's not just women now and then, right? It's the women east and west are quite different.
East and west,
Yeah.
now and then, and remember the setting in which the woman finds herself. Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Rosann, you know, for our program, I would say every time,
Yes.
every hour, we want to share some of the things, maybe some of the books we read, some of the movies we've been to, with our audience. Do you have any books you want to recommend for our audience to read?
Oh, okay. This time I've brought along with me The Girl at the Baggage Claim. The Girl at the Baggage Claim is a lovely little contemporary book. Now, this is written by a Chinese woman who is in the United States, which is more like you're a Chinese
Like
woman
me.
in the United States.
Yes.
My experience is an American woman in Hong Kong. But the reason I say girl is that at the airports, and so many of us travel these days, what do you know about a woman who picks up her bag at the baggage claim? If she's Asian, what judgments do you make about her? If she's not Asian, but in an Asian city, what judgments do you make about her? We can not easily draw conclusions about any woman because of her ethnicity or because of her age. This is one of the things we've discovered. So, Gish-Jen talks about how it feels to be an Asian woman in American settings.
Okay.
And it woke me up to how American many small towns in the States could be, as well as big cities. And the fact that we all move around so much, when people are not used to seeing an Asian person in a non-Asian setting, one of the things we wonder is, can she speak English? And I'm sure that's happened to you, Dorothy. People see you, you're very well educated. There you are. And they wonder, well, can she speak English? Is her English okay? And so it's very good for us to begin to look at books and movies that describe what life is like in one cultural setting or the other. In addition to this book, current movie that so many of us seen is The Asians,
Ah,
Crazy Rich Asians.
yes.
Now, does that describe all Asians?
That's interesting.
My sister, who lives in New Jersey, said, "Oh, Rosann, it's not about Asians. It's an Italian love story." Sure, that just happened to be Asian people, but that could be a love story of our mother's generation when the in-laws were very influential. So we have this marvelous area to discuss
Yes.
women now and then, our own ages, when you were in your 20s, your 30s, moving into your 50s. When I was 30 when I came to Asia, and as we move on. So it's East-West, it's generation, and it's women now and then.
So next week, what are we going to talk about, Rosann?
Bodies. These wonderful female bodies, how much they influence how we think. Your body influences how you think.
Great. So next time is next Tuesday, 9 p.m. And Rosann and me are going to talk about women's body.
Women's bodies.
So see you.
See you then.